Good Sunday morning and welcome to WGN-TV Political Report. I'm Paul Listek. This week, a closer look at the hotly contested Democratic primary for Illinois' 7th Congressional District. It's a seat Danny Davis has held for nearly 3 decades. This year's contest could be his biggest challenge yet, with 4 opponents on the ballot. But he just picked up the backing of Governor J.B. Pritzker and Cook County Board President Toni Preckwinkle. Political reporter Tamon Bradley sat down with the congressman to talk about his quest for another term.
Poll after poll shows the majority of Americans think Joe Biden is too old to serve another term as president. He's 81, you're 82. Do you understand voters' reluctance to support a candidate your age, and will this be your final term?
Well, you know, some people, I've been very fortunate. My health is good. I go to the Miles Square Health Center. The doctors look after me. My mind is sharp as it can be. And I need to know whatever I know. I remember whatever I need to remember. I recall whatever I need to recall. I remind people that I'm not running to be the quarterback for the Chicago Bears. I'm not running to be on the relay team for the Olympics. I'm running to be able to make serious decisions affecting the movement of our country and the lives of millions of people, as I have done in the past and as I continue to do now. So I understand their concern, but it's not something that they really need to be concerned about. My mind is clear. I know what I'm doing. I know why I'm doing it. I know the positions that I take, why I take them. So I think they'll be well served for 2 more years, for sure.
Kina Collins has been raising this topic. She says you should have been mentoring someone like her to take over. Do you see her as someone you'd be willing to hand the baton to?
No. I think that there are a number of individuals in the 7th District who are engaged, involved. There are aldermen, there are members of the city council, there are members of the Cook County Board. You know, I haven't seen Ms. Collins in the community since the last election.
I wanted to ask you about Melissa Conyers-Irvin and her husband Jason. Did they try to nod you out of this race before you decided to get in?
Well, I think they did, and I think the Tribune has said what one needs to know in terms of how they operate and what they operate and what they do. And they came to me and said, look, we hear you may not run. I said, well, that's true, but I'll let you know when I decide if I'm going to run or not. A few weeks went by and then they called again. Said, well, let's meet again. We hear that you may not run. I said, well, yeah, I may not run, but I'll let you know when I do. And next thing I know, I'm hearing all kind of things. I've cut a deal with the Irwins. What kind of deal could I cut with the Irwins? I mean, what? You kidding?
Immigration has been a front and center issue. We've heard from a number of your constituents who are unhappy with how Chicago has had to shoulder the burden of the Texas governor's busing program. What can you do to fix the tension that the migrant crisis has caused among African Americans and new arrivals?
Well, and I understand both. Certainly I understand African Americans who say that this country has not provided everything for African Americans. We have not provided reparations for all the years that slavery and Jim Crow and all of the other things. On the other hand, we are a humane country, and we express and we practice humanity. What I say is that as we provide relief to immigrants, we also have to provide a greater level of relief to African Americans, especially people living under the viaduct, people living in shelters, people walking the streets with no place to live. And so that has heightened anxieties, and certainly we have to deal with both issues at the same time.
A complaint filed with the House Ethics Committee alleges you're spending House office funds to benefit the congressional campaign. How does someone as senior as you and your team make a mistake like that?
Mistake? We didn't do anything. All that we did was follow the rules. Everything that we did was according to the rules.
So
The
no merit to
person-
this complaint then?
I haven't heard a word from the Ethics Committee. There has been no ethics investigation to my knowledge. What the person said is they were suspicious because some of the mail-ins and so forth were right at the deadline. Right at the deadline. And it just happened that we were scuffling to try and get the information out prior to the end of time. I had a couple people who were sick. I had a staff person who died. So we haven't violated any rules, not a single solitary one.
I wanted to ask you about violence, gun violence in parts of your district. One of the things that Keena Collins keeps campaigning on is the need to prioritize that. You've obviously been in Congress a long time. Can you talk about what you've done to make the West
It is
Side
prioritized. I've been dealing with trying to prevent gun violence for years. I've been working with young people. I've been working with street gangs. I've been creating social service activities and development. I've been appropriating money. I'm on the gun violence task force in the House. If we get rid of guns and reduce the number, for example, Illinois is ahead of a lot of places because we have a ban on assault weapons. And of course, the other guys have been trying to get that changed and trying to get that changed. There's no issue bigger or greater, but it's not just an Illinois issue, it's a national issue. And we have to be able to get some national attention. And of course, Ms. Collins talks about her great work. Never heard of it before she was running for office. And I'm close to the community. Let me tell you, I don't know anybody who over these years have been closer to the community than I am. And I certainly didn't know anything about it.
In response to Davis's comments about her, a spokesman for Melissa Conyers-Ervin's campaign said in part, "We don't really understand what he's talking about here, but we do understand that Danny Davis has been in office since 1979 with little results to show for it. It's time for change, and that's why Melissa Conyers-Ervin has a robust agenda to lower costs, fight crime, and protect a woman's right to choose." We're going to take a quick break, and up next, we hear from Melissa Conyers-Ervin about her campaign. And still to come, will Super Tuesday be the end of the road for Nikki Haley? We're talking to a political analyst from Washington later this half hour. Don't go anywhere.